I do feel like English is like taking over French.
Nobody speaks French unless you're from Quebec.
Multilingual, maybe not in like the French English sort of way,
Right.
but there's so many different like languages spoken.
I would always appreciate the language of the main country, of course, English. What I don't appreciate is going to a place that I can't understand anything.
Every few years, someone raises the alarm. English is losing ground in Canada. More immigrants, more cultures, more languages. Maybe English is just slipping into the background. But what if the truth is actually the opposite? What if English isn't dying, it's quietly steamrolling over everything else? Let's look at the facts. In the 2021 census, 75.5% of Canadians reported English as their first official language, and nearly 90% of Canadians are able to conduct a conversation in English. On the flip side, French, Canada's second official language, is seeing a steady decline, especially outside Quebec. Fewer people are speaking French at home, fewer students are opting into French immersion, and in cities like Vancouver, Calgary, Toronto, French could as well be considered a foreign language. Immigrants arrive with Punjabi, Mandarin, Arabic, Farsi, Tagalog, but give it a few generations, and their kids overwhelmingly just speak English. It's not English that's dying, it's every other language that's trying to live alongside it.
What do you think about people that are claiming that like English is dying in Canada? Would you think that's true or no?
That's false. I feel like I disagree. Like, I don't think English is ever going to be erased, especially like living in like a Western country. And I think it's good to celebrate like other languages.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's possible to erase English.
Not at all.
Yeah.
No, I think everyone speaks English. Everyone who lives here at least speaks it a bit. Some people in Quebec, I guess, don't speak a lot of English, but most do.
Let's talk about the first-generation immigrant experience. Parents might speak their native language at home, and they might try to raise their kids bilingual. But by the time those kids hit high school, English takes over.
What other languages do you speak?
I speak a little bit of Spanish and a little bit of Tagalog, like Filipino. But like English is like my most comfortable, like fluent language.
What language do you speak primarily at home?
English. My dad is Filipino, so they speak a little bit of Tagalog.
They want to fit in, they want to succeed, they want to code switch into the world around them. And then their kids, the third generation, they speak English only. They often can't even speak a word of their grandparents' tongue.
Your grandparents and your parents, like they still speak Tagalog regularly?
Part of my family speaks Norwegian, part of my family speaks Tagalog.
Okay.
So, yes, but like, I don't think it was those languages were passed down to me as much.
Okay.
And I think that's partly from like them immigrating to this country and sort of like, you know, wanting to get ahead. And obviously at the time that they did immigrate, like speaking English is what was going to get you ahead.
But they were kind of trying to assimilate?
Yeah, sort of. And that's so sad because so many people like experience that. And like, I feel like that's the reality, which is so unfortunate because you should be able to maintain your own like native languages and that should be celebrated here. But like, obviously, if you're going out and about day to day, I think it is good to have some basic like conversational English for sure.
Let's talk about French. French isn't just a language in Canada, it's an identity. Quebec has passed law after law to preserve it. For example, Bill 101 made French the official language of education and business. Bill 96 expanded those protections even more in 2022, limiting English access to services. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Even in Quebec, young people are shifting. More are using English in workplaces. More are consuming English media. Immigrants arriving in Montreal often choose to learn English first because they think it offers more opportunities. Outside Quebec, French is fading fast.
Do you think French is under threat in Canada?
I mean, in Quebec, no, but in Canada, maybe. Like, we still have our own language. I mean, we're still like our own province, like French province. So I feel like we're still upholding that. I went to high school, public school here. You had an option to take French, but you also had an option to take other languages too.
Okay, so you didn't have to take French.
Yeah, and
Right.
so I think it's nice to not have to make it mandatory, but I think that makes maybe people less inclined to learn French.
It's not true. Like people that don't want to learn French, they will never learn French.
Yeah.
People that don't care about it, they will never care about it. And the ones who care, they do.
Maybe, because it's definitely more under threat than English is.
Yeah.
Because it's not being taught so much. But I think it would be useful to teach French more.
I wouldn't say so. I think a lot of people are trying to learn more French. It's easier if you know more French in Canada to get more jobs, more opportunities, I would say.
Probably, yes, just because the amount of English speakers. But I know they're trying to do a lot to preserve that language.
In provinces like Ontario and New Brunswick, once thought to be bilingual strongholds, English is crowding French out.
Do you find that Canada is like truly bilingual, or do you find that English is kind of dominant?
English is definitely dominant.
English is definitely dominant. Obviously, there's languages from everywhere, but nobody speaks French unless you're from Quebec. They say they teach it in schools, but they don't.
BC side, I would say English is the more dominant side, but if we go to the East Coast side, I would say more both being bilingual.
English is the default?
Honestly, it could be anything because, like, you know, people move here from different countries.
There's so many different like diasporas, like cultural and ethnic diasporas here. I think it's like multilingual in the sense that maybe not in like the French English sort of way, but there's so many different like languages spoken. But I don't think we strictly follow like a French English binary.
Totally. I'm from Montreal, so obviously there, Quebec is like French is the main language, but I would say people are still very bilingual over there. So I do feel like English is like taking over French.
English is not just Canada's dominant language, it's the dominant global language. In business, science, technology, aviation, diplomacy, English rules. More than 1.5 billion people speak English worldwide. It's the internet's default language, the language of Hollywood, Silicon Valley, global finance, and YouTube. If you speak English, you can work in Dubai, Berlin, Nairobi, Singapore, New York. You can land clients, navigate airports, and swipe right in 7 different time zones. Speaking English doesn't just open doors, it removes walls.
Do you think that speaking English gives you an advantage globally?
Yes. Absolutely. It's the language of business. It's the language of everything.
Yeah, 100%.
I would say it's very helpful because I live a bunch of places. It has helped me talk to different people. So I would say English has been really helpful.
I think English is always going to be a line of business interaction.
It's like the one language, I think, that's like the most popular.
Absolutely. Yeah. Everywhere you go, you can usually get someone who speaks English, which is very, very privileged of me to say, but mainly anywhere, English is a universal language.
Claims that English is dying often come from a well-meaning place. People are seeing more diversity and more signage in Mandarin or Arabic. They assume it means English is losing ground, but it's the opposite.
When you see like signs in Canada that are in like a language that's not English or French, do you think that that's like a full inclusive thing, or do you think that it means that English and French are becoming less spoken?
I think it's a cool inclusive thing. It shows like the majority of people that it helps them understand, and it's easier for people to learn English too, I would say. Having it there, like having all the languages helps people understand more.
I think it's more inclusive for sure. If you go to Richmond or something, or like the airport in Richmond, like some of the signs are in like Chinese. You can read like Mandarin, Cantonese. I feel like that's so cool because it also like represents communities that we have here. And I feel like that's so important.
I would always appreciate the language of the main country, of course, English. And then underneath, put whatever you want. Like if you have different places living there, of course, put more stuff. But what I don't appreciate is going to a place that I can't understand anything.
It's cool to be different. Like if you go to Paris, it's kind of cool because why? It's so different. There's so many people. In New York, there's so many people.
I guess it depends like what neighborhoods. Like in Chinatown, a lot of signs are in Chinese, which makes sense like in different areas around, especially in a downtown core. I think that's pretty normal. And especially where that culture lives, like they're going to have lots of signs in their language, and I think that's totally fair.
English is so dominant that it absorbs other languages. Immigrants adapt. Schools standardize. Workplaces expect it. Even those who speak another language at home know that they need English to succeed. This isn't just about language, it's about culture. Every time a language fades, we lose a worldview, a history, a whole way of thinking. Yes, English gives us connection, but it also steamrolls nuance. It makes the world more efficient, but also a lot less colorful. French in Canada is fighting to survive. Indigenous languages have been nearly wiped out, and vibrant immigrant tongues struggle to hang on past the first generation. So no, English isn't dying in Canada. It's thriving, it's dominating, and even quietly killing off the competition.